So, Walter, my dilemma with this tree is that it seems that it is very free formed. Let's say it's very wild, like a bush. So my question to you is, do you think it will be better for the picture to remove any of those lower parts, this one or that one, or any of these here, to make the picture, the whole picture, more clearer, let's say, or more classical, or something like that? Tell me, please, what do you think about this tree?
Okay. Let's first of all clarify what exactly is this. This is a Prunus mume. It probably comes from either Korea or from Japan. Was imported a few years ago. By the way, it was in my garden for a while, and now it's in Sebastian's garden. It is a flowering tree with spectacular flowers, not the white and pink as you normally have, more wild type, like whitish, a bit greenish, interesting. So the natural type, it's not as flamboyant, not as wild, but more for this tree, which is also not a very typical tree which looks like bonsai. It looks more like a very, very old tree and slightly like a bush, and that's exactly your problem. You have to understand the growth habit of these trees, and many people don't, and this is why they buy a tree like that, and after a few years it doesn't get better, it gets worse. Why is that? Because this tree, you should not pinch back immediately after arrival of the new growth and keep it short and keep it compact. It will not behave. It will get weaker and weaker, and this has then a tendency to just drop branches. And that's the unfortunate habit of this kind of tree, to just drop habits, to just drop branches for no reason and for no obvious, because it's weak. So you have to strengthen it. Now, how do you strengthen a tree? You strengthen it by letting it grow. Anything cutting back, pinching, is weakening the tree. So let it grow much more than it is, and then hack it back, and then there will be new growth. And this is how the tree keeps strong and does not drop branches. It will get slightly more ramification, but not much more. It will always be this loose type of tree, which is fine for me. But some people want this dense tree. Well, if you want a real dense tree, take another species. This is not your species. So we will not totally change this habit, because that's the way this tree is. It's a very, very old tree, as you can see, with a very interesting growth. It probably was a bigger, much higher tree a long time ago, was hacked back here, and then the new growth came out, and already this is very old. Maybe this is 50 years old, and down here it may be even 100 years old. And then you have to know that these trees normally don't get much older than 100 years. So that's pretty old for that species. And it has this very interesting growth habit with these very muscular, very strong trunks and sub-trunks and very interesting bark. It is not an orthodox bonsai, and please don't try to tame this. This is a wild tree, and if you happen to want a more tamed tree, a more bonsai-looking tree, don't take this one, take another one. This you better leave as is. So, but that's not your problem anyway. Your problem is that this, well, let's put it bluntly, it looks a bit like a bush in your eyes. Fine, okay. Can we unbush it? Yeah, we sure can. So you are looking at something which is the front. I turn it around, also possible front, but probably more the back. So this is the front. Why? Because here the nebara is pretty good, and the whole tree was set. So this is why it was also placed in that pot in that way, to look at it from where you're looking at. No, we can of course cut off this here, and we can cut off this here, immediately. That's done in 2 minutes. Then we have some hole, but that doesn't matter. This kind of tree is full of holes anyway, so we don't mind here. Then the question is, what do we do here? We can even cut off this, and what's left is a much higher looking tree, not a bush anymore. Maybe not quite as interesting though, but this is why I have left these things here. However, if you turn this tree to the side and look at it from this side, then it's possible to remove this here. Okay, and this you may, but although it's in the back, you don't mind. And then it's better, I think. It's better, it's more like a tree. Okay, not much to my surprise, if you turn it around exactly 180 degrees, you have the opposite side, and that's even better. Okay, here, if I cut off this here and this here, you see what's left? That's not so bad. So that's more of a tree. This you don't have to cut off because it's in the back anyway. So a very quick decision, of course, one would have to look at it more closer, of mine would be to think about taking this one off and taking this one off, and then you have unbush the tree and make the thing and make more of a tree of it. And then, of course, you play a little bit. Please do not wire these things and bend like you normally used in bonsai. They will crack or they will die. Exactly the branch that you wire, that will be dead next spring. If you do it in summer, it will also not be happy. What you can do, slightly pull with some guy wires, play a bit here. You have seen the pictures on the internet, Walter Pall's trees, many of them pretty cool trees, but they have wires everywhere, the guy wires. I'm not blind, I know they're ugly, but they can be taken off in a minute. So just wait, one day they will be taken off and then the tree will shine. So that's my way of doing this. Okay, so if you don't like this bushy sort of thing, that's what you do. Cut off this, and that's it. And then of course you will have to replace that into that pot, which will be a bit of a problem because that's a very, very firm root ball. That's around since 50 years or so. So you have to be pretty ruthless, cutting off with a saw here in order to place that in a proper pot. Maybe you find a round pot for it. So the problem is not really for me to place it, but the problem is for the sort of normal person to have the guts to cut off here. Okay, so I set you free, please, you can do it. If the tree is happy and healthy, you can do it. Now when? Okay, now we have beginning of November. Here near Zagreb, which is the capital of Croatia in Europe. Now, it can be pretty cold here, so this is not at the sea. This is very much like the south of Germany. So you do nothing, please, now. Hey, you only speak about this. You put this tree into winter dormancy, into storage, and then let's say in April or so, or May, we start speaking about repotting this. And you can, however, if you really want to, you can cut now. I always have these interesting questions on the internet. Mr. Pall, when is the best time to cut? Is this now a good time to cut? So the old people seem to have problems with the time to cut. I don't know why that is. Because the answer is, you can cut whenever you have a saw in your hand. Really. You can always cut. I mean, what's the problem? But there seemed to be somehow the notion that there must be the best time to cut. Of course, if I cut roots, that's a different story. You're not just cutting roots. The roots you cut in end of April, beginning of May, and not earlier. Or you cut them end of August, beginning of September, not later. Okay. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Is this spot just a bit too shallow for this tree or not?
That depends on your taste. An Asian sort of Japanese taste, it is okay. especially without foliage. Without foliage, this is a very shallow pot. What you achieve with an extremely shallow pot is that the tree looks much bigger. However, the pot may be so shallow, so small, that it starts to look weak, and you have this problem of thinking that the tree is too heavy. It's not really too heavy, but that's in your brain. So it's on the border. Yes. On the other hand, how many good pots do you find easily? I mean, this deserves a very good pot, which costs real money. I mean, we speak now of 500 to 1,000 euro, which is 500 to 1,000 US dollars. So that's a lot of money for a pot. Most people would not want to pay that money for a tree. Yeah, but if you find the right pot, I would make it let's 50% more deeper.
Is that blue pot too deep?
The blue pot is slightly too deep. However, the blue pot has this advantage that's being shorter. So it's the optical weight of the pot. Now, if a deep pot is short, it's okay. If a deep pot is wide, then it's just too deep. Okay. So, on the other hand, I'm afraid that the blue pot is too small for that anyway. But maybe we find another blue one. Blue is a very this bright blue is a very daring color, and I would suggest to please use it for, let's say, for flowering cherry trees. That's a good idea, or for apple trees. Do not use it for many other trees. It's too.
This will flower in January, February?
Yes, that will flower. That will be your first flower you have in your garden.
Do you remove the fruits after flowering? Usually?
I have never seen a fruit on this anyway. Maybe that's because there were no bees. It may well be. But if there were bees, then I would leave a few fruits. So I have not seen fruit on this one, but related species is wild cherries, which I have a real lot, like many dozens. Then oftentimes I have fruit, and I just leave a few, which is very nice. Okay.
I'm fine, I'm happy.
So, thank you.